on Shabbat, Perek Tet Zayin, Mishnah Vav. So there's a halacha called Amira Lenachri. Amira Lenachri means asking a goy to do something for you on Shabbat. Here we go. Amira Lenachri. That's what it's called. Amira, saying Lenachri to a non-Jew. And there's a misconception about the fact that some people think that if you hint to the non-Jew, you don't directly say it, then he can do things for you. That's also incorrect. And we'll get to that in the next Mishnah. But here we're talking about what happens if there's a fire in your house. We're continuing the theme of the fire. Okay, and the Nachri comes along and wants to put out the fire. Says the Mishnah. Nachri Shabbat lechabot. Let's say there's a fire in the house, and a non-Jew comes to put out the fire. Ein omrim lo kabeh ve'al techabe. You can't tell him, put out the fire. But you also don't tell him, don't put out the fire. Because his shvita, okay, is not on you, meaning the responsibility for his shvita means rest from Shabbat. See the root shin bet tav. So the responsibility for his rest is not your responsibility. So therefore, when it says ein omim lo kabeh, don't tell him, put it out. The amira lenachri, remember we saw that term? Amira lenachri, shvut. Shvut means it's asur de rabbanan. The rabbanan prohibited asking non-Jews to do stuff for you, even though it's not prohibited for him to work. You're not allowed to tell him you're not allowed to tell him to do malacha. You're not allowed to ask him to do malacha on your behalf on Shabbat. But don't tell him al techabeh. Ein tzarich limchot biyado. You don't have to be mocheh. You don't have to stop him. Leave him alone, and he'll put it out. Why? This is what the Mishnah says. Because his rest is not my responsibility. He's not my eved. It's not my slave. My eved has to rest. But any other non-Jew, my neighbor, doesn't have to rest if he's a non-Jew. Therefore, if he wants to put it out and do me a favor, matov. Aval katan shubal lechabod. But let's say my child, comes to put out the fire. Ein shomim lo. We don't let him do it. Because we are warned, we have a responsibility to make sure that our children are following the laws of Shabbat, either from a din of chinuch or even from a din. I'm not sure if it's a din of Shabbat. Yeah, where Musari in the Kati says we are warned, we are enjoined from shpitat hakatan. We must prevent the ketanim also from violating the Shabbat. And therefore, to ask a child to do something for you, like the light is on, to ask a child to turn off the light, that's seriously problematic because of shvitato alehem. I don't want to go into the great details of what age is a child, old enough to know, not old enough to know. That's why you have Orthodox rabbis. But it's very important that we derive from here the importance of Amira Lenachri Shvut. That's a halacha that people should be aware of. That when telling to a Nachri to do something is prohibited, midrabanan. We'll stop here. We'll continue in the next Mishnah. Of course, if you have any comments or questions, email me at rspoter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman.